that the heavens and the earth used to be one entity, then we parted them.
The separation process resulted in the formation of multiple worlds. Mention of these worlds is made several times in the document. Also, it would seem that the modern discovery of bridges of matter, which are present outside organized astronomical systems, is referenced in the verse which reads,
God is the one who created the heavens, the earth, and what is between them. Today we will only preserve your body to set you up as a sign for subsequent generations. Indeed, most people are heedless of our signs.
Miraculously, it seems that the Egyptians were exclusively gifted with the science of mummification. In 1898, Loret discovered the mummified body of Ramses II at Thebes in the Valley of Kings, where it had lain untouched for 3,000 years. He had it transported to Cairo, where it may be seen to this day. The medical study of the mummy of Merneptah, pharaoh of the Exodus, has yielded further useful information on the possible cause of this pharaoh's death. The lack of signs of deterioration of the body proves that the body did not stay in water for a prolonged period of time. And in the heavens, for many centuries it was believed that the moon had its own light. Science discovered not too long ago that the moon really did not generate its own light, but acted only as a reflector of the sun's rays.
God is the one who made the sun luminescent and the moon a light, and he designed its phases to provide you with a timing device. God did not create all this in vain. God is the one who created the night, the day, the sun, and the moon. Each one is traveling in an orbit with its own motion.
Today, it is known how the celestial organization is balanced by the position of stars in a defined orbit, and how the interplay of gravitational forces is related to their mass and speed of movement, each with its own motion. Sir Francis Drake proved the Earth to be round when he sailed around it in 1597.
Are you more difficult to create than the heaven that he built? He raised its masses and perfected it. He made its night dark and its morning visible. Thereafter, he made the earth egg-shaped.
That was written almost 1,000 years before Columbus. We know now that the Earth's atmosphere acts as a filter to prevent harmful radiations from reaching the surface. Short wavelengths, like X-rays and ultraviolet rays, are filtered out at high altitudes. Protection from these rays is vital to the existence of life on Earth.
And we made the sky a protected ceiling.
Then there is the affirmation of the modern idea that the origin of life is aquatic.
And we made water a requisite for every living thing.
Water is the simplest chemical compound of importance to all living things. Most organisms consist of 50 to 95% water. Scientists know that absolutely every living entity known to man requires water for its existence. Many properties of water make it essential to life's processes. Its ability to dissolve a great variety of substances is vital because most chemical reactions within organisms can occur only in a water solution. Take the field honeybee, busy bringing in nectar from flowers. On entering the hive with a full honey sac, which is an enlargement of the esophagus, the field bee regurgitates the contents into the mouth of young workers, called house or nurse bees. These, in turn, deposit nectar in a cell and carry out the tasks necessary to convert the nectar to honey. This we have known for about 80 years.
And your Lord inspired the bee. Build homes in the mountains and the trees, and what the people build for you. Then eat from all kinds of crops and obediently follow the designs of your Lord. Out of their bellies comes a liquid of various colors, wherein there is healing for the people. This should be a sign for those who reflect.
Remember, this statement was made 1,400 years ago. How in the world could somebody have known 1,400 years ago that honey came from the belly of the bee? This document also claims that there is a healing property in honey. Honey does, in fact, have mild antiseptic properties. The Russians used honey to cover their wounds in World War II. The wounds retained an amount of moisture and left very little scar tissue. Because of its density, no fungus or bacteria could grow in the wound. It is also known that if a person suffering from allergies from a certain plant is given honey produced from that plant, that person builds up certain resistance to the allergy. 1,000 years before the discovery of the circulation of blood, and roughly 13 centuries before it was known what happens in the intestine to ensure that the organs are nourished by the process of digestive absorption, we find a verse in the document.
From between the urine and the blood comes pure, delicious milk.
Only recently was it found that from what the cow eats, there is a separation of nutrients into the blood and the urine, and the remainder ends up as milk. Progress in botany 1,400 years ago was nowhere advanced enough for it to establish as a rule that plants have both male and female parts. Nevertheless, we read in the document,
God is the one who sent water down from the sky and thereby brought forth pairs of plants, each separate from the other.
Today we know that fruit comes from plants that have sexual characteristics, even when it comes from unfertilized fruits like bananas.
Of all fruits, God placed on the earth 2 of a pair.
This document stated to early man the remarkable premise that mountains move like the clouds. We know this to be true now, since the earth rotates around its axis and around the sun. But to an ancient, what could be more contradictory to the obvious than that mountains move? And yet,
when you look at the mountains, you may think that they are standing still, but they are moving in the same manner as the clouds. Such is the creation of God.
We know now of continental drift, of folding, which forms mountain ranges. The Earth's crust is like a solid shell on which we can live, while the deeper layers are hot and fluid.
Have we not made the earth an expanse, and the mountains stakes?
The stake-like stability of the mountains is linked to the folding phenomenon in that the folds provide the foundations for the reliefs that form the mountains. From this aspect, they are indeed like tent stakes driven